Prince George is still recovering from a major storm. Good evening. This is CTV News. I'm Patricia Villone. We begin tonight in Bladensburg. Well, residents in Bladensburg were hit the hardest on Friday after a microburst struck the area. The burst is described as a column of sinking air strong enough to bring down trees and cause major damage. CTV's Sonia Srivastava has the story.
Well, Friday's storm was so powerful. Let me just show you these cars. They were just simply parked outside of this apartment complex, and they look like they've been in pretty bad car accidents, but they were just parked right outside here. If you take a look at this car, the glass is completely shattered, and from the front, the car is mangled all the way in, and this is just all storm damage. Residents are literally left to pick up the pieces as they continue to clean up after Friday's storm. Here is how some describe what they saw and heard.
We heard all the ice just hitting the house. We heard boom, 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 everything. We were scared. The lights went out.
It done so fast, in about 2.5 minutes.
So it was so quick, you barely...
It comes so quick.
All we see is all white, like the roof flew right here. It was so much stuff, like, oh my God, like.
Glass, I seen hail, I seen cars, I seen rooftops.
Today, crews worked to stabilize the roof to avoid any more water damage at Bladen Woods, one of the buildings that is now condemned. The winds were so strong, part of the roof just blew off. Frank Striggles, who lives in the building, says he went to put the trash outside and within minutes was caught in the middle of it.
The top of the roof fell on top of the cars. So when I seen that, right across the street from it was the light pole. You know, when that fell, I ran to the side of the building. Striggles and his wife Sade just moved to Maryland from Georgia with their 2 kids. They were living with his mom. Sade tells us they left with the clothes on their back.
As soon as we went outside to see what's going on, the police and everything came and they told us to, to get out. Right now, it's a gas leak, so I wasn't able to grab nothing for my kids.
As crews worked to assess structural damage, workers made sure electrical meters were intact. Windows and doors were also boarded up. As you drive down Newton Street, you can see tree branches, electrical wires scattered throughout the area.
Very hard, like no water, our food messing up.
You don't have any shoes on?
No shoes.
Where are your shoes?
In the apartment building.
So you essentially ran out when?
Yeah, once everything was coming down, all the water and everything was coming down, it started to flood the building.
More than 100 people have come to the shelter here at Bladensburg High School since Friday, including Loretta Banks. Today is her 5-year-old daughter Alicia's birthday. Banks says she was touched when the Red Cross and complete strangers brought her cake.
But I really enjoyed that I got to have her little party with the community.
It was really tough.
It was really tough?
Mm-hmm.
You wish you were home?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it'll get better.
Okay.
All right. As of Friday, between 300 to 500 people were displaced. Today, some of them are back in their homes. Homeland Security Director Ronald Gill says the county will make every effort to keep the shelter open as long as possible.
Would be left out in the cold, no resident.
Certainly all of the people that I've talked to here are lucky to be alive. Now, there were no major injuries in this storm. We are told that there were few minor injuries and those people were taken to the hospital, but luckily nothing major. In Bladensburg, I'm Sonia Srivastava for CTV News.
And late this afternoon, the Prince George's Office of Emergency Management announced that the Bladensburg High School shelter will remain open until Wednesday if needed. Red Cross and other county and state agencies have been called in to provide shelter and recovery resources to the more than 600 Bladensburg residents who were displaced due to Friday night's microburst. Anyone who needs assistance or shelter should call the Prince George's County Emergency Operations Hotline at 301-583-2230. And power has finally been restored to most residents following those strong storms over the weekend. Popco says it has restored power to 99% of all the customers left in the dark the last few days. The utility says this was one of the most extensive operations it has dealt with in quite a while, as there were many trees that fell down on power lines. Cheverly, one of the hardest hit areas, is just getting power back today.
We were out here on the side porch out here, and a bolt of lightning struck right across the top of the house. Popco's doing what they can do They've brought in contractors. Everybody's been friendly. You know, they've been honest with us. We've been using generators and stuff like that to keep the refrigerators going. So that's what we're doing.
This particular area here was pretty bad because if you look up, you can see the tree cover here is just extensive. And there are trees over lines. Some of these limbs are in the lines. So what happened was you had a lot of wires near trees here. The tree limbs broke and they brought down a lot of wires. And this is the last of the last. We had about 17 customers that were still out this morning because of wires down, but all power has been restored. These guys got out here and we've worked around the clock 24 hours until we got everybody back on.
And crews are expected to be finished restoring power to all customers by the end of the day. Well, Prince George's School Superintendent Dr. William Hite may soon leave the county for another district. Hite is one of 2 finalists being considered to lead Philadelphia's public school system. School Board Chair Virginia Jacobs says the district is exploring plans in the event Hite leaves.
Do you guys have your eye on anyone who could step in on an interim basis if Dr. Hite does leave?
We've been thinking about that. We've been giving some consideration to those issues. To be able to identify names, we're not prepared to do that at this point, but we definitely have been thinking about that, talking about that, and not just previous superintendents of this school district, but previous superintendents who may now be doing some other work, who might be interested in doing some interim work if that becomes necessary. When our last superintendent left, we made sure that we had notice requirements in place for this particular contract, so there is a 120-day notice provision that's required.
And earlier this month, it was announced that Deputy Superintendent Bonita Coleman Potter was leaving to take a position in Mississippi. Well, he's an alleged thief with an eye for fashion, and tonight he's wanted for running an organized theft ring. Prince George's police have issued an arrest warrant for Waldorf resident Donnell Norman. He was a contractor at a Nordstrom's warehouse and allegedly used his position to steal more than $40,000 in high-end merchandise. Coach and Prada products and more. Police say Norman stole the items and then sold them to acquaintances via social media.
He would unload stuff off the box and he would look for items that he already took an order for. Then he would take those items back on the truck, take the new stuff out of them, and wrap the original packing back up. He worked in the warehouse, and I believe he started off first getting a few items for himself for personal use, and I guess he was selling some items to his friends or loosely associated people with him. So he would steal items, put it out on a text message, you know, from the picture part of it, and he would send the items out. And sometimes he would fill requests. So he would go back in the warehouse and steal items that people would ask for. And another way he would get rid of the items too, he would go back to Nordstrom, because if you see all the items in there had tags on them. So he would go back to Nordstrom's at Pentagon City or Tyson's and he would get full value for it.
And police say Thompson was arrested previously, but he was released on bond. They issued a new warrant after discovering $40,000 in merchandise at his home. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Patricia Villone.